So you guys know that the Israel-Palestine conflict is not a war, right? I've been saying this for quite some time, but that's just the way it's been sold. Israel has a right to defend itself. It's the Gaza war, blah, 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 blah. It's just not true if you look at the details of what is happening in this territory that is entirely controlled and manipulated by Israel. It's not a war between two states. It's not even a civil war. Like it is in Gaza, it is an extermination, and in the West Bank, it is a heavily controlled population that is intermittently attacked, incarcerated, or murdered by the state, on a lower scale than in Gaza. There were two news stories over the past week that illustrated this very, very directly. There is the idea that the Netanyahu administration had that, we should force everyone in Gaza to listen to Netanyahu's speech at the UN in New York. So not only did they set up speakers broadcasting that speech into Gaza, they managed to apparently hijack, I doubt it was all, but hack a bunch of phones in Gaza and force the phones of individual Gazans who are attempting to run away from the IDF and avoid getting genocided, hijack their phones and make Netanyahu's speech appear on their phones. And this was sort of something they were somewhat proudly talking about. I think Netanyahu even mentioned it in his speech. And it's like, how is that a war? How is that even a civil war? If Israel has the power to control the cell phones of everybody living in Gaza, well, that means that they have the ability to control, to locate everybody in Gaza. This is not a war. It's an extermination with sort of theatrical underpinnings that make it look somewhat war-like enough for CNN to call it a war. The other news story that struck me was it's not a new revelation, but emphasizing that Israel is withholding tax revenue from the West Bank, which, points out that it's Israel that collects tax revenue in the West Bank, that it then sends on to the Palestinian Authority. And that just sort of indicates, again, the degree of control that Israel has over these territories. They give out the ID numbers. They have complete control over all the cell phones, apparently. They collect the taxes for these territories that they can then withhold from the Palestinian Authority that has been working so closely with them for decades. It's not a war, guys.